Well, welcome to the 700 Club. The wave of illegal immigrants flooding our southern border is now becoming a tsunami. With the end of Title 42, tens of thousands in Mexican cities are getting ready to cross.
Well, the crisis extends far beyond our borders. Cities across the country are declaring a state of emergency. CBN's Brody Carter brings us the latest.
The border crisis kicked into higher gear at midnight with the end of Title 42, the Trump-era policy which lets the U.S. quickly expel migrants under COVID restrictions. Now, the Department of Homeland Security expects a surge of refugees as they transition to new immigration policy.
If anyone arrives at our southern border, they will be presumed ineligible for asylum and subject to steeper consequences.
The U.S. immigration court system's backlog is at an all-time high, with more than 2 million pending cases. And with the end of Title 42, major cities issued a state of emergency, including New York, Chicago, and several border cities like El Paso, Texas.
I want to be very clear. Our borders are not open.
Despite that claim, the border appears far from closed, with record numbers of migrants pouring across in recent days. CBN contributing correspondent Chuck Holton visited a portion of the border wall which needs to be strengthened due to incursions by illegals in the area.
These construction workers are feverishly trying to complete a section of the border wall, or at least shore it up. And this is a section that was not completed during the Trump administration because they were blocked by the Democrats. And they had to leave all these construction materials laying out here in the desert until now. The reason for that is this hastily constructed section of fence is not sufficient to keep out the migrants. You can see from these holes right here, the migrants cut right through and they crawl under, and this is a very busy section at night.
For now, a federal judge has temporarily blocked a Biden administration policy which would have let migrants be released without court dates. And Border Patrol agents have little faith in how the White House is handling the situation.
I haven't met one Border Patrol agent who is confident with how the government is planning to end Title 42.
Even President Biden acknowledged earlier this week there are rough days ahead.
It's going to be chaotic for a while.
Brody Carter, CBN News.
Well, you're going to hear a lot of politics about this, and this wave, this tsunami that's now coming across the southern border is just going to get bigger because the word's going to get out. Title 42 is over. We have free passage, if you will, into the United States. And so they're looking for all the advantages that you and I enjoy. They're hoping and dreaming that they can have that too. So they're going to come and come increasingly. Now, in all the politics of this, here is what a Democrat senator from Arizona had to say. And so what I'm asking for, and have been asking for 2 years, is for the administration to make concrete plans, rent the buses, hire the drivers, build the soft-sided facilities so we can process individuals. We need more holding capacity. I mean, let's be realistic here. We're not prepared for that. And that's frustrating. So if a Democrat is attacking the administration, we all ought to pay attention that, no, they're not prepared for this tsunami. They're not prepared in any way at all. Now, as a U.S. citizen, if I travel to another country without a proper visa, I know exactly what's going to happen to me. I'm going to be detained at the airport. I'm not allowed to cross into their border. I'm going to be detained. And then the very first flight out, I'm going to be on that flight, and it's going to be on my nickel. They won't allow me in. So I've got to ask the question, if you say our border is closed, it's not open, if you say we're going to enforce the immigration law, what in the world is going on? Why in the world are we saying let's bring them in, let's give them court dates, whatever for? If they're not inside a state, they do not have equal protection. They're not our citizens. And it shouldn't be our problem, and our taxpayer dollars shouldn't be going into processing. It should be going into enforcing the immigration laws to say, no, you don't get to cross the border. In other news, Palestinian Islamic Jihad fired rockets all the way to the outskirts of Jerusalem today. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting with his security cabinet to decide what Israel would do next. Chris Mitchell brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Islamic Jihad managed to fire nearly 900 rockets from Gaza. Almost 200 fell short and killed several Palestinians, while the IDF says the Iron Dome anti-missile system shot down more than 90% of the rockets coming towards populated areas. A few missiles did get through, as in the city of Ashkelon, and one Israeli died in a missile strike in the Israeli town of Rehovot. The rocket barrages did send nearly 2 million Israelis running for shelter, like those on this street and on the beaches of Tel Aviv. During the several days of fighting, Hamas, the largest terror group on the Gaza Strip, stayed out of the fray for their own reasons.
He has a different agenda because he would like to have a foothold in Judea and Samaria, and in due time actually to replace Abu Mazen, the old leader of Fatah movement, and they would like to turn Hamas into the unquestionable leader of Palestine.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, let's pray for the peace of Jerusalem. It's really hard to have peace when rockets are raining down on your civilian population. Israel needs to do whatever it can to defend those innocent civilians against this kind of terror.